I'm live. Hello. I don't think I've ever done a StreamYard by myself. There's always other people on here with me. But you guys will come and join me. So it looks like I'm on. I'm just waiting. Oh, there's some people jumping on. Hey, say hello. It's not giving me a chance to see comments. See if that does anything. Oh, okay, cool. I can see comments. Okay, cool. So, hi, guys. Hey, Silka. How are you? Looks like Leilani is here with her under the pseudonym Heather Nichols CF. And Heather Anderson, Michael. Hi, guys. From cold Alberta. Heather, yeah, we've had not super cold here. It's been kind of nice, but we really could use some snow. Hey, Melissa. Hi. So I haven't done a cocktail chat in a long time. Like I don't know. It's maybe been even more than a year. I don't know. So this is like a abbreviated cocktail chat because I didn't feel like doing a whole thing. We're going to talk about being weird and rich. And hey, Wendy. But I already made a cocktail. I'm not going to make it with you, but I did make a cocktail. And this is, I have kind of I need to give it a little stir maybe. I have a lot of cocktail books in my head that different cocktail books that I want to make. And one of them is called Gin and Flowers. And this is Gin and Flowers right here. So, it's really good. My body was kind of like, I had, been on like vacation in Mexico and stuff like that and drinking, more than usual. I don't drink a whole lot because my body actually doesn't let me. But anyway, I came home and I was like, I'm not going to drink for a little bit. And then one day it was like, my body was just like, I want some gin because I love gin. So I made a healthy cocktail. Because I don't know. I think all cocktails are actually kind of healthy, but everything that I make is, it's all very fresh ingredients. So I put together a kombucha cocktail actually. And I use this roseberry kombucha. I love Synergy brand. You can get it in the US. I don't know about elsewhere. Probably not, but roseberry. I love roses. So there's 3 types of flowers in this particular drink. It doesn't have a name, but I got this stuff, orange blossom syrup, from Amazon, which I try not to buy from Amazon lately, but if I can't find something anywhere else, I'll get it from Amazon. So I got orange blossom syrup and hibiscus syrup, which I don't have a visual of because I put it back in the fridge, but you can't unfortunately get this brand anymore because they went out of business. Dang it. So I just put a lot of flowers in here. The rose kombucha, the orange blossom syrup, the hibiscus syrup, and then it needed a little bit of sour and a little bit of, it was already kind of bitter, but I put some tonic in it. And Aperol. This is like a complicated cocktail. Aperol. I love Aperol. It tastes to me a little bit like bubble gum in a good way. And some Meyer lemon. So it's kind of a hodgepodge, but hopefully I inspire you to, mix gin and flowers because gin and flowers is a really fun combination. Lavender is delicious with gin. I also have jasmine liqueur, anything that has flowers in it, I'm all over it. So whether it's food or eating flowers or drinking flowers. I have lavender liqueur. I have rose liqueur. I have lavender syrup, rose syrup, hibiscus syrup, orange blossom syrup. So, and you could use rose water or orange blossom water. If you're not familiar with orange blossom, it's quite phenomenal. I love orange blossom. It's very like just seductive. It's like, what's the word? It's almost like an aphrodisiac. It's so pungent and unique, and orange blossoms are just amazing. I actually grew up in California, and we had orange trees in my backyard, and in the spring you'd walk in the backyard and just get this overwhelming like waft of orange blossoms. And I love orange blossoms. So orange blossom, rose, passion fruit, not passion fruit, orange blossom, rose, hibiscus, kombucha gin thing with some Aperol and lemon and tonic. But the point was not tonight to give you a recipe, which sometimes I do that. Anindita, hello, lovely. Haven't seen you around in a bit. Raft Syrups makes the hibiscus lavender. Yum. Now, whoever wrote that is showing up as Facebook user. So I don't know who wrote that, but that sounds amazing. I'm going to have to try that. If I can get it in the US, because I don't know who Facebook user is. So, but the idea I wanted to just kind of convey, it's like, what are the, this is how I started making cocktails, is just, what are the flavors that I like? And just playing with that stuff. Like, like I said, I love flowers. So, okay, I'm trying to quit all my programs here, and I just lost you. But just, making things with flavors that are yummy to me. So, Suzanne from Portland. Okay, cool. Awesome. That's great. Hi, Suzanne. I will check that out. The hibiscus lavender. That sounds amazing. That would be really good with gin, or vodka would work really well with that too. But just play. People ask me how I started making such yummy cocktails, and I just started playing, and I still dump stuff down the drain often, when I'm really experimenting. Sometimes I make really not so good cocktails with really good liqueur, and I toss it because it's not good, and I'm not going to drink it if it's not good. Because I'm just kind of a snob about my cocktails, which happens when you make really tasty drinks. So part of being weird and rich, I guess you can afford to pour really good liqueur down the drain. If it's in a cocktail that's like the point of no return, not so good, then, it's always great to dump it and start over. Hi, Catherine. You're sitting on a train. I love it. Cool. It's so fun having people all over the world just playing, It's 10:40 p.m. here in Colorado, and it's like middle of the day in Australia and early morning in Europe. So let's talk about being weird and rich. This has been a topic lately that has just I just have been playing with a lot. Basically being different, I'm not being normal, and looking at I guess I feel like there's just an accessibility of I'm gonna slide around here so I can get my knees under my counter. There's oh my God, my flowers look really weird. That's funny. We have, I don't know, something very interesting going on with the flowers. Speaking of flowers, tulips too. We'll have tulips in the in the mix. But it's just kind of, I have this sense lately of it being like more accessible to all of us to really start to be and live the difference that we be, and the weirdness that we are, and the not normalness that we are. And That is a true Rich. That is a true definition of rich. Dump the booze if it isn't perfect. And I love it that Rich actually said that, because maybe Rich dumps the booze if it's not perfect. I love it. But yeah, there just seems to be like an opening lately, for lots of cool things, actually. And I would say thanks to the crazy COVID stuff, it's not that it just, there's like, people are asking for something different, basically, in the world, with everything going on. And I've looked at this topic a lot in my own world, and it seems to me that like I continue to find out how I continue to have more awareness all the time of where I'm like, I'm trying to be normal, that's really cute. And what happens when you're not normal and you're different and you're weird and you try to be normal, which is basically like trying to make yourself relevant in the world, trying to make yourself relevant to other people, trying to make yourself fit into other people's realities, it just doesn't go over very well. It never really works. We try to make ourselves normal by, like being appropriate or doing things in a way that other people would like us to do them or whatever, or that other people say they should be done. And it just doesn't, not only Shauna's raising her hand. I love it. Not guilty of that one. But it's always a diminishment, anytime that you try actually to hide anything, which would be, if you're trying to be normal, you're trying to hide the weirdness and the wonderfulness that you are. Anytime you try to hide anything, you actually have to contract your whole world and your whole universe and everything that you can create. So what does that have to do with money flows and being rich? Well, if you actually, if you have to contract you, and you have to contract your world, and you have to contract, to fit into the world, then you also have to contract your receiving. You have to contract your money flows, and being rich is not quite a thing, and rich is kind of a funny word anyway. I prefer wealthy, and well, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But we're not going to get into the semantics of it all, because I think weird and rich is just funny. And Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, he says, if you're different, if you're different, and like, if you're weird and rich, then people will call you eccentric. If you're just weird, people will call you crazy. So I'd rather be eccentric than crazy, although I am definitely also crazy. And that's one of the things I've been acknowledging lately is, oh yeah, I'm totally crazy in this reality. And how much fun can I have with it? And rich is weird. I love it. Rich. I love the comments from the Rich, the man, the myth, the legend, Rich himself. Time for a sip, because I made a good drink here, and I really don't want my ice to melt while I'm talking to you. We can do both. We can multitask. We can. Kind of like drinking kombucha with a little extra, I love kombucha. I don't often actually put kombucha in my alcohol, or alcohol in my kombucha. I'm not sure which one I did tonight, because I didn't measure it. I think I put kombucha and alcohol together. I think it's probably kind of equal amounts, but I digress. But I've taken some really epic classes, in my life. I'm so grateful. But in the past couple weeks, there was a class that Gary Douglas and Dane Harris, Simone Milasas, and Brendan Watt did, Access Consciousness class about greatness. And I really started to realize, like, the whole class was actually about being different and being willing to be that in the world. And then I was in Houston this past weekend for the ESB Energetic Synthesis of Being class with Dane here, which was also amazing. and just like these conversations about being different and like the capacities that we have when we're willing to be as different as we actually are. And because the thing is that when you allow yourself to have access to that side of you, you know, or not even that side of you, but like the universe of weirdness and difference that you actually are, that's where you actually will also find your creative capacities, your money making capacities. Because what happens is you actually you allow yourself to be. You stop kind of censoring yourself with other people, and you allow yourself to start to be more. And what happens is when you be more, you receive more. And when you receive more, there's more money coming into your world. It's just sort of how it works. And I find that to be such a cool phenomena, because creating more money in your world and more wealth and more riches isn't, from this conversation and this perspective, it's not actually about like working your ass off, and you know, it's actually about being more, and then you can receive more, and then more money will come into your world. And it's so cool. I have seen this in my life over and over and over and over. I step into a greater space of being, less barriers with other people, more space, more me, more, you know, just like ease and relaxation of being me. And my business grows and my money flows expand. And I've like kind of taken a jog down memory lane lately, or maybe like an ice skate down memory lane, because I don't jog at the moment. I haven't been jogging much these days. I've been doing a lot of ice skating. But a glide down memory lane, let's say. But I was thinking about when I used to, because I started my own business in 1997. I was fresh out of grad school. I had just become a social worker. I was going to like, you know, change the world with doing social work, which I didn't really have much luck with that, because I was trying to do normal. And not that there's anything wrong with social work. It's wonderful. People do wonderful things. But for me, it wasn't where I was going to have my greatest, you know, reach or whatever. But so anyway, part of being weird is having ADD, ADHD, OCD, and autism all rolled into one. Shiny object syndrome, like the weird, I'm like, it's over here. You know, it's over here. The shiny flowers behind me. So, but I started to I just recently have been looking at like when kind of remembering when I first started my business, because I was a psychotherapist for a long time, and I had a dance studio, and I did for about 13 years. I did like movement therapy and dance classes and body-centered psychotherapy and all this stuff. And I was looking at that and I was like, gosh, you know, I remember I used to be like praying to the universe, you know, like, please bring me more money. Like, please bring me more clients, you know, because it was always just sort of like very, very mediocre what I could create financially. And this is however many years ago that was, like 23 years ago. Good Lord. But I remember just like begging the universe, you know, and it just didn't really happen so much. Like things wouldn't grow. And I had this sense of like, oh, but I should be able to just be me and make more money. And, but I didn't have the like pragmatic tools and the conversations of actually like what that actually looked like and how that kind of shows up in, you know, how do we actually do that? Like, how do you be more, you know? And there was so much that I didn't have my hands on yet, you know? And so it was a lot of like looking to this reality and the normalcy of it and going, okay, well, I need to talk to the people that know how to make money, and find out from the experts what they do so that I can just do that, you know? And I did, and it never really worked because it wasn't me. And when I found Access Consciousness and I found Joy of Business and I found these conversations of like, hey, what do you know that's really different? I I started to really play with that. It was such a relief for me because I was like, oh my God, like, thank God somebody's asking me this question finally, because I didn't have to add a little more tonic to my drink because it's just it needs to be diluted a little bit. By the way, I love Fever Tree. I love the light tonic, refreshingly light. I love Fever Tree tonic, but tonic can be like kind of intense. It can be like super sweet. This is like not as sweet. Just in case you were like in the market for some tonic. That is much better. So now I can function now. My drink is better. So what was I saying? It doesn't really matter. What do I want to say now? What I want to say now is, it's been I've had these, hey Nancy, I've had these conversations, a couple conversations in the past week with a few different people, of like talking to my business. And I it's so funny because like, it's like we can do, this is really weird. Like, this is really weird. Talking to your business is really weird in this reality, right? And talking to your creations, like, it's really weird. And it's also really weird to not use your mind with business, which I'm not saying I'm there. Like, I definitely, my mind does jump in sometimes. But for the most part, I've recognized that it's not like, it's of no value to me. And I have to text my man because he's looking for me, and he's like, I want to say goodnight. And I'm like, I'm talking to people on Facebook. Hello, Haresh. So again, lost my train of thought, but we were talking about talking to your business, and people, like, I forget that people don't do that because I'm fucking weird. And I will say, like, if you ask me, like, what's one of the big things that changed from when I used to pray for, money, and hope that it would just fall from the sky because I prayed hard enough, and worked hard enough too, suffered enough, right? And what changed from then to when I started playing with the tools of Access Consciousness and Joy Business, and I would say even like talk to the entities, which is also a specialty area in Access. That was a big one for me in getting me to like interact with things, like not just people, but actually like you can talk to fucking everything, which is super weird. But I started talking to my business, and I started talking to all of my creations. And I was talking about the mind. Like, I really don't prioritize my mind as a thing, as like a business instrument, which is super weird because in this reality, business is all about thinking and figuring things out and solving problems. And the thing about that is then you have to have a problem in order to solve, which just sucks. Like, oh my God. That's like the sum total of business in this reality is have a problem, create a problem if you don't have one so that you can solve it. And then that will be the source of your money, which is just hilarious. And there are moments where I still create problems, and less all the time, which is weird. It's weird to not have problems. It's super weird to have it, especially right now in the world. It's very weird. It's actually almost sort of like illegal to not have problems, which actually I know a lot of people that I know have had a lot less problems during this whole pandemic thing. So that's been cool. And it's not to say that, people aren't suffering, because I know there's a lot of shit going down in the world, but, we don't make the world a better place by diving into other people's suffering with them. That's just, that's like very, it's tried and true, I would say, like, I can tell you, I've tried it. It doesn't work. Doesn't make my life better. It doesn't make their life better, So that's the story for another time. But hi, Jacqueline. So letting go of the mind and letting go of problems and getting into the space of like the energetics of creation, and that's a huge part of what brings money into our world. And when I started talking to my business and I started talking to all of my creations, and it wasn't just like talking to my business and talking to my creations, but actually like perceiving them, like actually going like, well, what would like to be created? Like I will never create something in my business that from my mind, like, and go, oh, I think this needs to happen, so I'm going to do it. There's always an energy that bubbles up that's like, hey, like, and you have to be present, and you have to be aware, and you have to ask questions. And there's a lot of tools in Access Consciousness and Joy of Business that really help with this, so I'm sort of like fast forwarding. And if you've taken a foundation class or business done different class or any class, like, or you just watch a lot of videos or whatever, like, or read some books, on the Access tools, it's amazing. They really, really, really work. Because as soon as I started functioning from the weirdness with business that I actually was, knowing what I know and going, okay, business, well, you tell me what you want to do. Like, you tell me what you want to be, and then my business just started, it started telling me, and everything that I create now is like, it's like this energy that comes and goes, hi, and it's so cool. Like I have this, I do these 30-day classes, and I have this one coming up. It's called Melt. It's going to be 21 days this time, but it was so interesting because I was like, ooh, melt, that sounds so delicious. I want to do that, and it just sort of like popped into my world, and I was like, okay, let's do this. And then we like tried to do the graphics for it. And then I had somebody do it, and then I had somebody else do it, and then I had somebody else, and it didn't work. Like, it just wasn't working. But that's when I know that it's not quite time, or there's not, like, we had 3 different sets of graphics where I was just like, nope, nope, nope. And I didn't go to the wrongness of it. I just went, okay, there's something that isn't, like, either I'm not going to do this, or I'm going to do something else, or this needs I need some more information, And at no point did I go to, it's wrong that I don't have the information, or it's wrong that this isn't working. It was just like, because I've been around the block enough times that I know, okay, there's something missing here, and then what I did was I just started asking and going, okay, so what am I missing? Like, what can we create with this? And I totally get impatient. Like, I'm really bad with being patient. I suck at patience. If I ever do a class on patience, like, don't take it because I suck at it. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think I would ever do a class on patience, because that's not even about, like, they say it's a virtue. I wholeheartedly disagree. I just have to say, it's way more fun being fast and furious. Not furious in the literal sense, but you know what I mean. Patience is way overrated. And I'm just going to drink to that. Cheers to everybody. Cheers to being weirdly, ferociously impatient. Yeah. Okay. Now that we've got that out of the way. But so I just was like, kind of stayed with it, and was like, okay, come on. Cause I want to get this moved. I want to create this thing, and if it's not this, it's something else, but what is it, But that's when I just ask more questions, and ask more questions and ask more questions. And because every time you ask a question, you get more awareness. It's like you're opening doors all over the universe for new information, new energies, new awareness. And this is how I create my business. And I forget, see, it's funny to talk about this because I don't actually think this is weird at all. I forget how weird I am. But I am weird and getting richer all the time. which is kind of weird to say, but hey, we're talking about weirdness. So, hey, let's go weird. But it's not because I'm stuffing myself into a box, I'm taking myself out of the box more and more all the time. And as I do, things grow just in a very, would you believe it, weird way. And so with this creation, just to give you an example of kind of how this works. So we were on a call, I think it was on Monday. It wasn't that long ago. And having a conversation, and somebody said something that was exactly the energy that I required to give me the awareness of what else this melt thing was going to be. And she said something, she said the word melt, and then she said something about dominance in the same sentence, like being this dominant energy, basically. And I went, oh my God. And I'm like in the middle of facilitating a call, and I'm like, oh my God. I just got the awareness that I require. Like, I just got it, and I knew that was the energy that was missing. And so as soon as that popped, like as soon as we got off the call, I got on the Zoom again with two beautiful ladies in my team, and we chatted, and we went, yeah, let's do this. Boom. And then the graphic, boom, and it's done, and it's ready, and it's on the website, and it's launched. But I never forced it. I never tried to make it happen. I was ready to totally willing to ditch the whole thing. But this is like a teeny tiny glimpse into how I create my business, by talking to my creations and talking to the business, which in this reality, of course, is very bizarre. I was actually having a conversation with somebody who works in a big corporation. And, but she does a lot of access consciousness, and she was like, oh my God, I could actually talk to my projects. I'm like, yeah. And, she just sort of hadn't realized that, and this was part of what made me realize, like, I don't think I've had a direct conversation about this in a while. And, maybe in like a business on different class, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. So, okay, need a little sip here. That is so good. I love flowers, are like, just make me so happy. And the thing that I want to say about the money part of it is that when I started using these tools, like, I went from really really struggling with business for a long time. And it was just always like, I owned this dance studio for years, and I never was really able to pay myself. Like, if I could pay myself $500, I would be so happy, and I put my heart and soul into this thing. We could always cover the bills, but I could never pay myself. And it was a drag, it's a drag to run a business and not be able to pay yourself. And I was lucky enough to be married at the time, and I didn't have to, but it's still to put so much energy into a business and not have it grow the way that it can. It's a drag, and when I look back on it, I'm like, I was making myself so fucking normal, even though my business was kind of different. It was like, on the fringe of normal. But I was really making myself normal. And even though I thought I was being different, and this is the other piece that I want to give you guys, is like, when you start to be more of you, and you start to like relax the barriers that you have to the world, and be present with yourself as the anomaly that you be, it's strange. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of us don't choose it, because it's quite awkward. And I, was mentioning these classes that I've taken lately, and how I've really, like, I came home from Houston on Sunday night, and I was like, oh my God, like, I could almost like cry and laugh the whole way home. And like, all I wanted to do was sleep. And it was very strange. And so, you know, this is when you start to step into these spaces that because it's like you know, we have all these walls and barriers around ourselves that we don't even know we have, that keep us, they're there actually, like the purpose of them is to keep us normal, which is so weird, you know. It's not weird, it's normal, but it's strange, you know. But it also keeps money out of your world. It keeps you from being and receiving. And a lot of it is just like, I don't want people to know how fucking off the wall I am. And I mean, there are things that come out of my mouth a lot lately where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm starting to enjoy my own sense of humor a lot more, because I'm like, I have a very twisted, very bizarre sense of humor that, I think most people probably don't get. And I've actually, like, there's a whole universe inside of this conversation that we can't really like unpack on a Facebook Live, because it has so much to do with being intimate with yourself and having your own back and being an allowance of you and being vulnerable with you and all of that. But you know, play with those energies, like run with that as much as you can. But when you start to drop the walls and the barriers that you've put up to the world to like make sure that you work and you fit and you're relevant, and you know, it's like it's all of a sudden you're just like totally exposed, you know, and it's very awkward. And Lila says it's very awkward for me too. But here's the thing, and this is what has been so cool lately for me, is I'm like, oh, shit's getting weird, you know? And I'm like, this is a good sign. This is a good sign. That's when, and so what if when you get strange, it means that you are having so much more of you. You're stepping into so much more of you. And along with that, I will say, comes money. Because, and it's weird how it works. It's the being more that allows you to receive more, that allows money to come into your world in very strange ways. I love that, Rich. Rich says, all my jokes and comments are primarily to crack me up. And if questions, I tell them I'm not able to understand this for them. I love it. That is so great. Lila's sense of humor is outrageous. And you know what, you guys? This is the thing, is like, the thing that I've been playing with a lot lately is, in the face of the awkwardness and the strangeness and the discomfort of it all, turn it up. Turn it up. Because that's the moment where we're like, oh God, you know, you're sort of standing on this precipice, and it's like, I could just kind of go back and like, you know, feel a little bit better about things in the moment. But that's you have to work so hard to contract your life when you do that, instead of just going, fuck it, push, you know, and like running and jumping and taking off, and just going, you know, fuck it, I'm just going to go. And so we don't, I mean, and the thing is like, this has also like been so clear to me lately, so much more than ever, is it's like, I don't like, we're always going to be judged. There are always going to be people in your life that judge you. Always, 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 always. There will be people in your life that judge you. And they will judge you for this, that, or the other. It's not like there's one thing that people judge you for, that if you stop doing it, you won't be judged. You know, it's like people judge you for fucking everything, you know? And so what if it's just like, all right, well, I'm going to be judged, so whatever, you know, I may as well have fun being weird. I may as well be happy. I may as well be rich. I may as well be successful. I may as well really enjoy what I'm up to. And I may as well really enjoy myself, even if other people don't. And, you know, being willing to put yourself in situations where things might not go over so well, that's a bold and courageous move. But it will give you so much more of you. It will give you so much more of you. And since I've been playing with these tools and talking to my business and talking to my creations and all of that, it's like, I'll just tell you, I don't pray to the universe for money anymore. Those days are over. But I like the income in my life in lots of different, from all kinds of different directions, basically, not just in my business, but the income in my life, it just keeps growing and growing and growing and exponentializing and coming from really strange and unexpected places. But even specifically in my business, like the profit and loss, grows, like the profit grows. But when I look at the statements, and I'm weird because I actually keep my own books. Well, me and Leilani do it. Leilani helps me now, which is so wonderful. But that's totally weird. I'm a geeky bookkeeper person. So I like looking at the numbers and tracking them and looking at the percentage of growth and stuff like that. And it's just, since I started using these tools, it's been amazing. And I actually feel like I've only barely just begun in terms of everything that I'm creating and willingness to be strange and be rich and all of that kind of stuff. Layla says, I sometimes feel humiliated when people pick on me when I'm more myself. What can I do to make this different? I seem to often be singled out and made fun of when I'm me. Well, part of it is, and this is probably a deeper conversation than a Facebook Live, but I will say, the judgments that we have of ourselves do show up in our world. So if you're like, oh, I don't really like me, or I don't really like this part of me, or I'm not really sure how this is going to land, that is, your point of view creates your reality. So you sort of project that out onto the world, and that is how the world shows up. When you actually, and this is also where I would say, get into the 5 elements of intimacy with you: gratitude, allowance, honoring, vulnerability, and trust. These 5 very dynamic energies. And when you're willing to be that with you, you get to be that with everybody. And it doesn't matter if they're making fun of, well, my guess would be that people wouldn't make fun of you if you had that with you. Now, here's the thing that I want to say about that too, is that it's, when you've got that level of presence with yourself, it's quite intimidating for people. You're not doubting you. You're not turning yourself down for other people. You're not adjusting you, because this is a huge part of what we do. We adjust ourselves to fit. We have this amazing capacity to see ourselves through everybody else's world and through the world, and adjust ourselves according to all these different energies that we perceive. But what if it was really just okay, I'm not going to do that. I am going to be aware of people, because it creates more it will create more for you to be aware of people. But changing yourself for them is a different story. Knowing what can and can't be received, knowing what you say is going to create, that kind of stuff. It's, that's really good to be aware of and to choose from there with that information. But turning yourself down to fit into other people's worlds, because when you turn yourself down, you have to turn everything down. So that includes your money flows. It includes the joy of your life and living. It includes the beautiful people in your life. It includes all the great stuff in your life. You put up barriers to judgment and yourself, really. You put up barriers to everything. And so you keep out judgment, but you also keep out money, you keep out beauty, you keep out contribution, you keep beautiful people out of your world. There's so much that we keep out of our worlds from the barriers that we have, because they're not selective. It's, a brick wall is a brick wall. It will keep everything out. And the good, the bad, the wonderful, the amazing, the abundant, the ugly, the horrible, So to live without those walls, it requires a level of presence with ourselves and willingness to be fucking weird, and willingness to turn it up and be okay, yeah, I created my super thriving business? Well, I talk to it, I talk to the business, I talk to me, and I talk to the creations, and it's really cool, and I don't really work that much, but I just have a lot of fun with what I'm doing, and I just make more money all the time and have more fun all the time and have wonderful people in my, it's like, and I'm like, oh my God, I get so baffled sometimes because I'm like, I don't understand why the world doesn't desire this, but okay, whatever, but it's weird to be happy, you guys. It's weird. When you're really happy, you're crazy. Or you're in denial. Like, I live in a very spiritual town. Boulder, Colorado is very spiritual, very right, good, perfect, and correct. And I remember, when my kids were little, it was like, if I like the conversations with the moms on the playground, it was like, well, what kind of organic sunscreen do you give your children? And what kind of, organic baby food do you make? And I totally went into that world. I used to like hack coconuts open, but this is before you get coconut water just at the grocery store. This is in the early 2000s. And I had a machete and I would like hack open coconuts so that I could give my baby coconut water because that was just so good for them, and I'd have coconut fucking shards all over my kitchen. It was a pain in the ass. This is the kind of community that I live in. And why did I even say that? It's so funny. A total ADD, ADHD. But that's the thing about being right and good, perfect, correct, all that stuff. I live in this town where it's like you can't like, oh, I know where I was going with that is like, everything needs to be significant. Everything needs to be serious. You need to like take everything very seriously, and I don't fit at all. And like, cause I don't actually do that. Like, I don't take really anything seriously. Nothing is significant to me. And that is a highly judgeable offense. And depending on, your cohort or where you live or whatever, it's going to have different repercussions or whatever. But, it's interesting because in very, I know Heather with a machete, isn't that funny? But, it can seem like Boulder seems like this highly progressive, open-minded town, but it's like extremely judgmental because it's just like, well, this is the right way to be. This is the right way to raise your children. This is the right way to feed them. This is the right way to be kind. This is the right way, the right way, the right way, the right way. And I'm like, well, I'm just happy and kind of dumb and strange. I talk to my business. I don't really give a fuck about much. And I have a lot of fun. But that's seen as like, you're in denial. You're you're like, you don't get it. Okay, I'm in denial. I don't get it. I'm not superior enough. I'm not significant enough. I have a lot of fun and I create a lot of money and life is terrible. Okay. So you got to be willing to be perceived in that way and just be like, sure, that's fine. And here's, another little side note is that people's judgments, if you're willing to receive them, meaning you don't have to like take them in, but just let them pass through you and go, oh, well, that's an interesting point of view. You're not putting up barriers to them. If you're willing to receive people's judgments, they will actually increase your money flows because what does it do? It increases your receiving. Hey, Alan, nice to see ya. Or not see ya, but kind of see ya. Yeah, I'm about to wind it down. So, but I'm glad you hopped on. So anyway, there's a lot to all of this, but the point is like, what if you could just really be as unique and different and strange and wonderful as you are? What if you don't have to fit? What if nobody has to get you? What if nobody has to find you funny? What if nobody has to like you? What if nobody has to approve of you, and you can just be? and get to know you more and more and what's fun for you. And as strange as that may be to other people, it's just, it's like just doing what works for you and what's fun for you. And as you do, and you start to like trust yourself and know what you know and talk to your business and talk to your creations, it all kind of just opens up, and this is where like the money shows up in really strange ways and from unlikely places, and it just things just grow. Things grow when you nurture you, like the true being that you are. Everything grows. And it's just how consciousness works. Thank God. And I'm so glad that it didn't work for me to do business the way that I tried so fucking hard to do way back when. I'm so glad that it didn't work because I kept seeking something more and greater and different and something else. And I still am, but not from I lack, but from, hey, what the fuck else is possible? If I'm just beginning to get to know my strangeness, like how much more is there? And what if I could really embrace those awkward moments and those different moments? And I am weird and rich. Thank you, Ellen. Oh my God. Isn't that funny? That's like a compliment. I love it. You wonder how you could be weird and do your school adventure. That's so cool. I know Ellen's creating some really cool stuff. I'm so grateful actually for what you're choosing, Ellen, because it's different as well. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to share with you guys. And a lot of you guys know this. I'm starting on Monday, Generative Business Pods. It's my 6-month business intensive. It's basically a lot of conversations like this. And the topic of this one is about being the anomaly. So it is really about a lot of what we're talking about here. And we will go so many places that I don't even know yet. But it's a 6-month deep dive into you actually, and what you know and how different you are, and like fucking diving into that and embracing it and being it, like really being it with the joy and the fun and the like creative possibilities and generativity that it is when you have you, and allowing and watching and receiving your money flows flourishing and your business flourishing as a result of stepping into you, as a result of being more and playing more and having more fun and being the question more, being the anomaly that you be. And it's one of the most delightful things that I get to do, is to see people really grow their entire life, their businesses, their everything that they're up to, everything that they're creating, their money flows, all of it, from these conversations and the movement of energy that this program is. That's very, very dynamic. I love playing with weirdos. So y'all weirdos are invited. Some of you guys are already going to do it. Some of you guys have done it, and you can do it again. But you're all invited, and you're invited to the weirdness of you. And please say yes to that, whether you are part of the program or not. Please choose and play with what I've been playing with here, and if it's light for you, because the world needs a lot more weirdos right now, a lot more weirdos, and I would like to see a lot more rich weirdos. That's what I would like to see, is a lot more rich weirdos in the world that are willing to do something different with their money, and choose something different and be something different and inspire something different, because it is very much time, and it is happening, which is really cool. Yeah, so go for it, peeps. Go forth and be weird and rich. Rich weirdos unite. Exactly. So if you want to check it out, it's generativebusinesspods.com. It's also on my website, heathernichols.com. And you're invited. So come and play. And thank you, all you weirdos, for being here. If you enjoyed this, please share it, like it, do all that stuff, because then it just bumps it up in the algorithm, and it, just gives the gift of this conversation to more people. I definitely am not speaking to people that are committed to being normal. I mean, if you're committed to being normal, you would not be listening at this point. I'm all about speaking to the weirdos. So if you know some weirdos, pass it along. Thank you guys. Cheers. Here's to gin and flowers, and to you and to creation, weirdness, money, wealth, richness, abundance, and joy and play and all that good stuff. So thanks, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye.